Hello everybody, this is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we are now starting our Facebook Live in our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. Welcome to day one of our spiritual empowerment activation. It's good to see all of you here. And this is a special event that we're holding in our Facebook group, which is called Psychic Protection Sanctuary. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of quick announcements because we have people who are joining us live. And, as always, this is a not polished affair. And I noticed my camera is having some trouble. So there we go. Hopefully that's better. This is actually our second attempt. I was on live and then my phone decided to restart. And I think it's because I live in Arizona and I think my phone got hot. So hopefully this will be better. You'll hear some blowing noises because I turned the air conditioner on cooler, and hopefully we'll be good to go for the rest of our Facebook Live. This is day one of our spiritual empowerment activation for empaths and sensitives. And each day we are going to be exploring a different aspect of being an empath, including some areas that you might not have thought of or heard of before. So as we're waiting for more people to join us live, I just want to give a shout out to those of you who are watching the replay, either on Facebook or possibly on my website or on YouTube. And I want to remind you all that since this is a Facebook Live, it is intended to develop a relationship. It's not supposed to be like super polished and slick. And we are going to go over some announcements before we get into our teaching for today. While we're doing announcements, if you want to go ahead and grab a cup of water and grab a pen and paper, because I'm going to give you some valuable content today and every single day of our Facebook challenge. Okay, so basic announcements. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sure you figured out that the first Facebook Live attempt didn't work, right? Okay, so a couple of basic announcements. First of all, when I put on a Facebook challenge like this, it's my way of paying it forward to the universe. And I always go out of my way to make sure that I'm putting some free content out there into the world, because I very much believe that everyone should receive some kind of support and assistance no matter what their situation is. So that is why I do a free Facebook Live every month. And this month, it's not just one Facebook Live, but it's 5 days of class. So it is my way of paying it forward. But also, when I do a Facebook challenge, it's also my way of connecting with the community and finding out, kind of just putting the feelers out there, finding out who might be interested in my 12-month online spiritual empowerment academy. So as we're going through our daily classes, if you find that you would like to go deeper and work with me in a group program, then I invite you to go to my website, which is psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And under the events tab, you'll find Spiritual Empowerment Academy. So psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And under the events tab, you will find the Spiritual Empowerment Academy. Also, every day of this Facebook challenge, I will give away free gifts, different kinds of gifts each day. And today I'm actually going to be doing some free gifts for those of you who are live on this Facebook Live, and I'm also going to be giving some gifts to those of you who are participating in the homework, which is going to be posted in the group. And also those of you who are watching the replay somewhere, like on YouTube, I will have the homework quiz. I will have that in the description. So there's an empath quiz that you get as a gift just for watching the replay. Okay? Also, another free gift that I want to let you know about before we dive into our content today is that anyone who applies for Spiritual Empowerment Academy, anyone who fills out the application and submits it and qualifies, so you have to qualify for the program, then you, if you submit your application during these 5 days of this challenge, then you get a free 15-minute laser coaching session with me. And those of you who have worked with me before know that we actually cover a lot in those 15 minutes. I'm not real flowery like some of the wonderful psychic readers out there. I want you to show up to that 15-minute laser coaching session with all your questions written down, and I'm going to help you solve all sorts of things, answer your questions for you in 15 minutes of laser-focused time together. And that is only available to people who apply for the program this week during our challenge, and it's only available to the first 5 people. Okay, so I brainstormed all sorts of gifts, special bonuses for you guys, because it's more fun when we have a Facebook challenge. It's just more fun if there's freebies and gifts and stuff. So, so today there's going to be a free gift for those of you who complete today's homework. There's going to be a post that goes up on the group in just a couple minutes. Actually in 2 minutes it's going to go up because I automated it. It's going to pop up. You'll see that. And there's a free gift for the homework post. And anyone who participates in the homework gets, let me backtrack. I've got too many thoughts today. I'm all excited, you guys. Anyone who participates in the homework, I'm going to pick one person out of the homework post, and that one person is going to get free access to my Empath Survival Kit. And it is a really good online program. So, and I normally charge $50 for that. So participate in the daily homework posts every single day. There will be a post that will ask you to do something or comment. And if you comment on it and you participate in the homework, then you'll be able to be involved in the drawing. And then also if you join live, there will be a gift. So today at the very end, if you stay till the very end, I'm going to pick at least one person to do an oracle card pull. I'll pull intuitive message for you. And anyway, I think that's enough for announcements for now. So we have several people who are here live. If you think you are an empath, if you feel like you are an empath, I want you to comment empath. So type empath right now, and then I'll share all of your comments when they come through. All right, so now if you haven't already grabbed a pen and paper, grab that, because I'm going to get into our content. Those of you who have joined my Facebook Lives before, y'all know that I like to interact. I like to talk with you guys. I like to give announcements, updates, and everything. And also, I give a lot of free content. And so now we're going to dive into the free content. We have a foundational lesson that we're going to do today, and then we're going to go deeper each day after this. So, yeah. So now, thanks everybody who commented. And then also tell us where you're joining from. Type empath if you're an empath, and tell us where you are joining from also. Give me a second comment and say where you're joining from. All right, as always, I got to peek at my notes because you should see all this that I have written on this piece of paper. Like, that's all that I want to teach you today. I've been a teacher for over 30 years, and I just love sharing with you guys. Christy is joining from Cartersville, Georgia. Erica from Indiana. Molly from Kansas City, Missouri. Stephanie from Vancouver, Washington. And thanks everybody who came back, because I was on the live and then my phone decided to restart. I think it overheated. So instead we're going to have loud air conditioning noise keeping my phone cool, because that is what it's like to live in Tucson, Arizona in May. It's already hot now. Okay, so thank you everybody who is here. Oh, we have Lourdes from Lawrence, Kansas. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the difference between an HSP and an empath. We're going to define those two things, and then I'm going to teach you about the 10 types of empaths. I've actually never taught the 10 types of empaths in any of my free videos before. I've always kept that behind the closed doors of we've got a little gnat here. I've always kept that behind closed doors of my my paid empath survival kit. So today I'm going to share that with you guys for free. And this list is not anywhere else. You'll recognize some of the types of empaths, but not all of them. So we have Maria is joining from Spain. Hello, Maria. And you guys will have to excuse me. I'm just like really excited and my brain is kind of bouncing a little bit today because I'm really excited to get started with you guys. So I'm going to ground myself. Okay, so some people have asked me, what is the difference between an HSP and an empath? So an HSP, that stands for highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive person. Now, some people are both an HSP and an empath, and some people are just one or the other. And so I'm going to go through the difference between the two, and then after that, I want you to share if you are HSP, empath. I know some of you already said empath, but go ahead. After I define this, I want you to tell us HSP, empath, or both. Okay? So an HSP is more of a physical thing. So you don't have to be an empath to be an HSP, and you don't have to have any psychic skills to be an HSP. It's very physical. It's where some or all of your physical senses and even your emotions are extra sensitive. So an HSP might have super sensitive hearing and very sensitive to touch. Like if they go into a bar and the music is playing really loud, they just can't handle it. Maybe this is someone who's not even an empath. They're not intuitive, but they're just super sensitive as an HSP. Hi, kitty. How you doing? She wants dinner. She's going to continue to sing to us. She's like a teenager that's yelling at me. So the HSP might not be able to handle loud noises, or they might not like to be touched, or they can only wear certain fabrics because like certain fabrics or certain kinds of clothing, they just can't tolerate it. So any of their 5 senses might be ultra sensitive to the point where they are a bit challenged going out into the world. And as I mentioned, an HSP can also be emotionally sensitive. Like in a relationship, their feelings might get hurt really easily. That could also be considered an HSP. An empath, on the other hand, is someone who has particular psychic abilities where they can feel other people's feelings and emotions within them as though they were their own. So you see, it's a little bit different. So if someone next to you has a headache, because you're an empath, you might be able to feel their headache. Because someone next to you, or someone that you're thinking about, like in another state, you're thinking about them, and let's say they're feeling nervous or depressed, and then you feel nervous or depressed because you're an empath, and you can feel other people's feelings, their emotions, so their emotions or their feelings, like physical sensations. If they are having a lot of pain in their body, you feel pain in your body. Okay, that's an empath. So it's slightly different than an HSP. An HSP can't handle loud music, certain fabrics, maybe there are certain tastes that they can't tolerate. I'm going to have to attend to my child. Vashti, no. She's my little fur child teenager. So, yeah, so now go ahead and comment and tell us, do you think you're both? Or do you think you're just an HSP or just an empath? Okay? Or if you're not sure, like maybe you're a little bit of both, maybe? Because like for me, I'm very much an empath. I don't strongly associate with being ultra sensitive HSP, but I can tell you that I can't stand loud music. I can't go to a really loud dance club. Like, I feel like my whole body is vibrating and my third eye is like freaking out. And so there are certain HSP qualities that I have. So I think I'm a little bit of both, right? So there's no right or wrong answer. What do you think that you are? Hi, Timothy. Tony says both. Stephanie says both. Lourdes, a bit of both. Christy says both. Zahira, I think I am both. And Michelle says empath. Yeah. So now let's, thank goodness, I think my cat's going to go to sleep. Ah, the adventures of having a pet. I live in a really small place right now, and I have for the last year and a half, and I think it's kind of driving her crazy, poor thing, because we used to live in a 2-bedroom house and out in the country where she could run free, and she's kind of going bonkers right now. That's what's up. Real life is happening over here as I'm trying to do my Facebook Live. Molly, probably more empath. Angela says empath. Erica, I love loud music, so I don't think I could be HSP. Maria says both. Timothy says empath. Yep. All righty. So let's get into the 10 types of empaths, right? So most of what we're talking about in this 5 days is specifically about empaths, but it can also encompass other kinds of sensitivities. So even if you don't consider yourself a full-on empath, I think that you'll be able to apply some of these things. Okay? So now for the 10 types of empaths. If you have not already grabbed your pen and paper, you'll probably want to do that now, because I think you'll find this list kind of interesting. As I go through this list, if you identify with the one that I'm talking about, go ahead and type it in the comments, okay? So the first couple are pretty common, and you'll probably recognize them as typically known types of empaths, okay? So the first type of empath is the emotional empath. If you feel that you're an emotional empath, type emotional empath now, or emotional right now. So an emotional empath is somebody who can feel other people's emotions. You might be the type of empath that can feel people's emotions who are near you, physically near you, or you can just think about them and you can feel their emotions. Either way, you are an emotional empath. I used to have this situation where there was this one grocery store that I would go to late at night, and I knew that somebody working in the back must have been really depressed, because I would walk in there feeling fine. I would walk through, and once I would get to like the back part where like the seafood and the meat section was, and there was somebody working back there I could see, and I would just like feel so down all of a sudden, like, oh. And I just really believe that it was whatever was going on with that person. So I'm sharing that story just to illustrate that It can be like you can pick up on emotions from people that you didn't even personally know them. Like I didn't even know that person at all. So that's an emotional empath. Now for number 2, this is a physical empath. A physical empath. So if you identify with this, type physical. A physical empath is someone who can feel other people's physical sensations within their body. So if someone has a headache, they will feel a headache even for just a moment, or the headache will come and it'll stay. Or if the person has a stomach ache or butterflies in their stomach or a sore shoulder or their eyes are itchy or like whatever the physical sensation or ailment is, you will be able to feel it in your body. That is a physical empath. Yeah. I'm both of those, emotional and physical. And it's interesting for sure. Okay, so now we're getting into some that are a little bit different. The third one on the list is the location empath. So the first 2 that we just talked about, emotional and physical empath, we often think of that as being like your standard empath, where you're picking up on things from other people, right? This is different. A location empath is someone that can walk through a space and they feel overcome by emotions or even physical sensations, either way, of things that have happened there. Maybe it's a place, maybe it's a location where many, many people died, or there was some kind of traumatic event. Usually an empath, a location empath, most stories that I hear about location empath situations, it's usually like a really intense or difficult or horrible thing happened at that location. But I think also even if something really happy happened there, you might feel really good, really uplifted. So when someone has walked through, maybe they're going on a tour through an old prison that's now shut down, or an old mental asylum that's now shut down, and they're on a tour, right? They're going through, and they just feel like depressed and oppressed and anxiety or whatever feelings they're feeling, because they're picking up on the energy left over in that location environment. So type location if you feel that you are a location empath. All right, so now the next type, thanks for sharing, you guys. The next type of empath is the animal empath. And that's funny that that's next on the list, because I was just feeling gratitude that my kitty calmed down. I think I was feeling her anxiety. She knew we were going live. She was feeling the energy of the group, and then I was getting all jangled from her, because I'm also an animal empath too. It's really important to stay grounded when you're a multiple type of empath. An animal empath, as you might guess, is someone that can pick up on the emotions and feelings and sensations of particular kinds of animals or all animals. Like for some people, it's more like horses or cats or dogs. For some people, it's like all animals. Like they're walking on a nature trail and they can feel the animals around them. Okay? So if you feel that you are any kind of animal empath, go ahead and type animal in the comments. Yeah. Okay. Now, don't worry if you are not all of these kinds of empath. It's not a contest. In fact, most people are not every single kind of empath. But the reason why I go through these is because some people discover that they are an empath in ways that they didn't realize. And so that helps you to engage in better self-care when you recognize what might be going on. At certain times when you might feel overwhelmed or you might suddenly become ungrounded, you're like, oh, that's because I'm a such and such kind of empath, and this or that is going on. And so then you can engage in self-care and understand yourself a little bit better. The next type of empath is a plant empath. This is similar to animals, but of course different because we're talking about plants. This is someone that can feel and tune in to the feelings, the emotions, and the feelings of plant life. It can be any kind of plants. It can be trees. It can be like bushes. It can be the flowers in your garden. And yes, I understand that they don't have a central nervous system like people or animals do, but I think many of us do understand that on some level, plants do have feelings and emotions, even though it's different than animals and humans. So if you are someone who can tune in and feel the feelings of plants, like, have you ever cried? I'm going to cry right now just thinking about this. Have you ever cried when a tree was being cut down? Because you could feel what the tree was feeling, then you might be a plant empath. Okay? Yeah. So I know for me, I have a lot of plants. I'm looking out at my patio right now. I have lots of flowers out there. And it's funny because even when I see posts where people are talking about their plants and they're posting pictures, there's one friend of mine, I will often comment, I'll say, your plants are so happy. And she probably just thinks I'm just saying that. But like, I look at the pictures of her plants and I can feel how happy they are. Like, her plants are so happy. It's like a bunch of little kids that are just so happy that their mom takes such good care of them. And so that's what being a plant empath is about. Okay? You might feel the fear or the suffering or the happiness of certain plants. Yeah, I told you guys you were going to learn some new things you might not have thought of before, because a lot of people don't talk about these aspects of being an empath. So that's why I was so excited to get on here and teach you guys. Okay, the next aspect, the next type of empath is a psychometric. I'm going to grab an example. Is a psychometric empath. And that's related to the word psychometry. That's a fancy word. psychometric, psychometric. And psychometry is the psychic ability to hold on to something, like I'm holding on to a rock or a piece of jewelry. Metal tends to hold energy, tends to hold vibration and energy. So to hold a person's ring or piece of jewelry, and to be able to feel things about that person, that is a psychometric empath. So this is less common, but if you can touch an object, or it doesn't have to be jewelry, it could be like you touch someone's clothes, like you touched clothing that's in a closet, an old closet, or you touch a banister railing on some stairs, and all of a sudden you feel the energy of the family that used to live there. Any object that you touch with your hand, and then it causes you to feel things, information. Okay? So again, this one's less common, but this is another kind of empath. Another type of empath is the spiritual medium empath. Now, there are spiritual mediums out there. There are people who receive information from ghosts on the other side. So a medium, just a straight out medium, is somebody who gets messages from beings, from spiritual beings, ghosts, angels, etc. That's a medium. But I'm talking about a spiritual medium who is an empath. And this, I want you to imagine when we talked about an emotional and physical empath where you could feel the emotions that someone is feeling, or you could feel their headache, their physical sensations that they were feeling. If you're a spiritual medium empath, then this means that you can feel the emotions of the ghost that's showing up. Or you can feel how they died. You can feel that, oh, their chest feels really tight. I wonder if they died of a heart attack, right? So you're getting empathic information from spiritual beings. Okay? So that is a type of empath that picks up empathic information from spiritual beings. I feel like this is most common, picking up on human ghosts rather than like angels and that sort of thing. I know for me, when I'm tuning in and doing a mediumship reading, they will empathically make me feel how they felt before they died, like whatever they were going through, I will feel it in my body, or they will cause me to feel how they're feeling on the other side. They're very relieved, they're happy, they're peaceful, like I will feel that in me. That is a spiritual medium empath. So again, this one is less common. Go ahead and type spiritual medium if you feel that you empathically can feel the emotions or feelings of ghosts, of spirits. Okay? Yeah, and it's totally okay to be unsure of some of these. You're just discovering things about yourself. And, okay, we have just a few more. Okay, now the next one on the list of empaths is the global empath, or the collective consciousness empath. And this type of empath is someone who is picking up on the energies of the collective. I've heard a lot of people talking about this during COVID time. And right now we're in 2021, but in 2020 especially, people were talking about empathically feeling overwhelmed by the global energies, by the collective consciousness, because a lot of people on the planet were feeling afraid. So if you feel that you are a collective conscious, or let's just say global, that's easier to type. If you are a global empath, type that. Now I'm going to be more clear about the global empath. Any time that you empathically are picking up on a group, on a collective, so that could be, let's say there's a natural disaster that has happened in your town, and you are feeling all of the fear and the loss and the grieving and all of that from your community. So you're not only feeling your own feelings about it, but it's magnified times 10 because you're feeling the collective energy as well. So it doesn't have to be the entire globe. It can be certain regions that you're feeling. Okay? Yeah, I know for me, the global energies, man, I will feel that sometimes. It feels like a big wave of stuff that comes through, and I'll feel the feelings, whether it's fear or anger. That's kind of tough for some of us. Okay, so the last two might surprise you. Okay, so the 9th type of empath is the environmental empath. Environmental empath. This is someone who will feel a shift in their emotional state or physical well-being. So you might feel emotions come up, or you might feel unwell, you might feel like you have a headache, or you just feel sick to your stomach, or you feel that something is off based on changes in the Earth's weather, climate, shifting ecosystems, natural disasters, etc. And some people who are environmental empaths, they might even pick up on things that are across the other side of the world, not even close to them. And then they're feeling really weird and like something is really off. And then the next day they hear on the news that there was a major tsunami or earthquake or something. If you are an environmental empath, type that now, environmental. Okay. The last one on the list is the cosmic empath. This is someone who is affected by the energies of our galaxy. So not just our planet, but the galaxy and beyond, including alignment of the planets. So like when Mercury is in retrograde or there's other wonky stuff going on, you feel it. Cosmic rays, geomagnetic storms, solar flares, and other space weather. I know people who feel really, really off when there are solar flares and geomagnetic storms. That really throws them off emotionally, and their well-being is thrown off because of that. If you feel that you are a cosmic empath, then type that now. All right. So don't worry if you're not all of these. In fact, you should be grateful if you're not every single one of these, because that is hard if you're every single one. Now that we've gone over the 10 types of empaths, I want to point out our homework, which is already posted, but you can go look at that later. It's already posted in our Facebook group, and it is a quiz to determine if you are an empath. Well, you're here, so you probably already know that you're an empath, but the quiz will just help you gauge to what degree. And some of the questions will get you thinking and realizing some different ways that you are an empath that you didn't realize. So that post, that free quiz, is in the homework, and you'll be able to take the quiz and then comment on it so that you can be entered into the drawing to possibly, if you are the winner, you can win access to my Empath Survival Kit, which is the quiz, but a whole bunch more. It's really good, and it includes how many pages? There's an ebook and 2 or 3 audio meditations as well that help you ground and center and manage your energy. So it's a really, really cool online kit that you can try to win if you participate in today's homework. Also, those of you who joined late, there is a free gift at the end. I'm going to pull an oracle card for someone who's still here at the very end. So stay till the end. Okay. So our lesson today was mainly to really cover the foundations, to really explain what's the difference between a highly sensitive person and an empath, and what are the 10 types of empaths, so that you can get a better idea of what kind you are. And right now, as we're going through a little bit more information, I want you, in like 1 to 5 words, to type where or how are you most challenged with being an empath? Like, how does it impede your life? What difficulties does it cause? And I want you to like really narrow it down and like just type 1 to 5 words. Like if you have trouble with boundaries, type boundaries. If it makes you feel sick, if being an empath makes you feel physically ill, type that. If you have trouble in your relationships, type that. Like, whatever ways that it's impacting you, go ahead and share. And I'm going to read some of your comments. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to read some of your comments in just a minute. I'll give an opportunity for some more people to respond. And I want to share my own empath story. So now I am almost 50 years old, but back when I was in my mid-20s, well, I had no idea back then that I was an empath. And all I knew was that when I would go into a coffee shop and it was crowded, on the days when it was crowded, I would walk in and I would immediately feel sick. And I didn't know why I felt sick. I just thought I must be sick. But what was happening was I was getting all this empathic information. I was picking up on everybody's physical stuff, and it was basically just coming through as static. And then, like, I couldn't discern, like, that person has a headache, that person is depressed. It was just like, I felt really woozy. I didn't feel well. And so it was coming through as static, right? And I didn't understand it at the time. I also would walk through the grocery store. This was not the same story as the other one. I would walk through the grocery store and I would feel sick just from walking nearby foods that I was sensitive to or allergic to. Like, I would feel yucky just to the, like, I didn't even touch the foods. I didn't eat them, just walking by them. So I was so sensitive, like, even going to the store was super hard. And at some point in my mid-20s, just from reading different things, I had the aha moment and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm an empath. Like, no one, back then, I don't think people weren't talking about it like they are talking about it now. Like, everyone knows about being an empath. Back then, not so much. But I read a couple books. I figured out, that's talking about me. And so back then, I was able to start figuring out ways to manage being an empath before there were all these resources and tools like there are now. So I've had over 20 years of figuring this out. And let me tell you, I'm a major empath. And so, like, for me, I would rather learn from somebody who's been really challenged and has had to figure it out rather than someone who had it really easy, because then they're not going to understand you if you're challenged. So I'm saying, and I really, really get it. If you're super challenged being an empath, I know what it's like. And, you know, just last week, and TMI warning, TMI, too much information warning, you guys. Last week, I was out to lunch with a friend, and I thought about whether I was going to share this, and I think it's important. I think you guys need to hear this. Both men and women, you need to understand this. So there are going to be times when you're not feeling at your best. Even if you've had 20 plus years of becoming a stronger empath and grounding yourself and managing your energy, there's going to be days where you're not feeling well. And women, this is the TMI part, women, when you're menstruating and you're not feeling well, like, you're extra psychic on those days, okay? So if you're an empath, don't beat yourself up if you're having trouble on those days, if it's a lot harder to manage your energy. Like, I was at a restaurant with a friend last week, and when we first showed up, I was okay, but then the restaurant got busier, and I also was not feeling my best that day and I was like really having trouble because I could feel all the energies from all the people like bouncing into my energy, and that doesn't usually happen, but except for during that time. So I think we need to remember that even though you're going to learn valuable tools during this empath journey, you're also not going to be superhuman. Like, You're still going to have days where if you're tired or not feeling well, or if you're stressed out or you're not grounded or whatever is going on, or if you just got into an argument with your spouse or something and then you go into a busy store, your energy is kind of discombobulated from the other thing. And so you're going to be more empathically affected by a crowded environment, for example. So be gentle with yourself and understand that, your ability to manage your energy is going to be different from day to day, and just go with it. Like on certain days, maybe you don't want to go to the crowded grocery store because you're honoring where you're at that day. So keep that in mind. And one more thing that I wanted to mention before I read your comments is how people don't really talk about this too much. How did you become an empath? How does that happen? How do we become so sensitive to our environment that we also end up having some of these hang-ups that I'm going to talk about on day 4, these trip-ups where we start to absorb other people's energies, and we don't have good boundaries, and we have and we're like a sponge soaking up the pain of the world. Like, how does that happen? Right? So is that normal? So in my observation, I do think that some people are born with a natural empathic ability. That's just part of their senses, like their normal 5 senses, touch, taste, smell, hearing, etc. They also are able to tune in through empathic sense. Some people are just born with that. But here's something else. A lot of people become an empath because of trauma, usually childhood trauma. Now, I'm not a therapist. You guys know I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. This is just my observation. I do think that a lot of people become empaths due to trauma. And what happens is that whether they're being raised by an abusive parent, caretaker, or there's something else traumatic happening in their environment, the child becomes hypervigilant, where they're constantly tuning in and observing and feeling what's going on in the environment, and reading and feeling the person, the abusive person, for example, in order to discern whether their safety is at risk. And this is something that happens subconsciously. The child isn't saying, I'm developing the ability to be an empath. I'm keeping myself safe. Like, this is something that we don't really come to understand until we're an adult. And I actually, when I was in my mid-20s and I was going to therapy for major childhood trauma, it was a therapist that pointed out to me, because I told her I'm very empathic and blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, point blank, she said, well, that's because this is all these things that you just told me that happened to you. You were keeping yourself safe. This was a survival tactic that you had to take on to keep yourself safe. So there's been a debate. I haven't seen as many posts about this recently, but for a while I was seeing people online debating and saying that empaths aren't real, it's not really a thing, and that it's really just adult people who were traumatized as children, and they now have no boundaries, blah, 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 because they were abused. And I think that's very polarized thinking. I feel like no matter how you became an empath, you're an empath. And the analogy that I use is, if you have really strong leg muscles, like your leg muscles are like super strong. Okay, you've got like these thigh muscles, and I mean, you can like punch it and it's super hard. You've got these like leg muscles of steel. Okay, and it's because you have spent months and months training and doing like all these leg exercises and running up and down stairs and all this stuff, like cross training and everything, right? So your legs are super strong. Okay. But let's say that you live out in the wilderness and your legs are super strong because you've been running away from mountain lions and bears and other nasty stuff, and having to climb trees to keep yourself safe and not get eaten and mauled. You have super strong legs. Does the fact that you were running from getting killed mean that you don't have strong legs? Nope. You have strong legs. Either way, whether it was like relaxing, working out, or you were running from a bear, either way, the fact is you have strong legs. And that's the analogy that I use for no matter how you became an empath. If you're an empath, you're an empath. It's a real thing. And I just think it's so silly when I see those posts like empaths aren't real. Well, yes, they are. They really are. They're real. And I might have given you some major food for thought. Now you might be thinking, I wonder how I became an empath. Like, is this like a quality that my grandmother also had? Other family members maybe are that way. So it's passed down from generation to generation. And or maybe there was also some trauma that really pushed you to activate that even more. I know for myself, it was a little bit of both. Like, I was born into a lineage that had certain psychic and empathic abilities, but then also into major years of trauma. So it was a little bit of both. So it's just something interesting for you to think about your origins and where that came from. Okay, now it's time for me to read your comments. I see there were a lot of comments that came through. And then we're going to do our free gift. And let's go back. I have a lot of comments, so I'm going to have to scroll. Okay, where are you? How are you challenged as an empath? Timothy says, energetically. Stephanie says, easily overwhelmed sometimes. Yeah. Lourdes says, boundaries, relationships. Christy says, boundaries and physical. And Barbara says, panic attacks. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that, Barbara. That's something a lot of empaths are challenged with. Michelle says, boundaries, self-sacrifice, avoiding being in my body. That's another really important one. What happens with a lot of empaths, if they're uncomfortable with everything that they're feeling, their energy, their spiritual energy, instead of being integrated and embodied, will be like out here, a little bit above their head. It'll be like out in spiritual la la land, like connecting with spiritual beings, or with the other side, or like above their physical body, right? Instead of in, because it's in some ways it feels easier. It's not safer though, so we'll talk about that later. Maria says that she's challenged emotionally and physically drained sometimes. Tony says boundaries, overwhelmed, fatigued. You know, speaking of the fatigue, there are a lot of people out there who are physical empaths who end up being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic fatigue, who might not have a physical cause. Like there's no blood work that shows that they have a virus or bacteria or something that's causing the fatigue, or a condition that's causing the fatigue, but for some mysterious reason they're experiencing chronic fatigue. And sometimes that can be because the person is an empath. For me, I actually have some of both. I live with chronic fatigue. I'm a physical empath, but I also have blood work that shows like I actually have conditions that are causing chronic fatigue. But as I pay close attention to myself, I can tell, like if I walk into a room where there's a lot of people who are physically ill, I feel it, right? So that just adds to the conditions, right? So that's something else to be aware of, everybody. Angela says, physically ill, problems with relationships. The last 2 years, it has been so hard to get out of my house, do the things I need to do. I almost feel like I'm afraid to be in public. Oh yeah, you guys. So, after stay-at-home COVID period, the adjustment for we empaths to go out into groups again, that's going to be very interesting. Angela says, I guess you could say I become very overwhelmed. Zahira says, I feel emotions from others and I feel sick sometimes, overwhelmed a lot, also feel animal and plants and sadness of their pain. I've also known that I was an empath for a couple of years. Zahira, I just had an empath experience just now when I was reading your comment. I don't know if it showed on my face, but when I was reading about how you feel animal and plants and sadness of their pain, like I felt that. I almost started to cry because I'm an empath and I felt you right there. And by the way, it's okay to feel that stuff. And so I'm going to teach you, so tomorrow we're going to start getting into a practice where I'm going to teach you how to feel it and understand that it's information and then to let it go. Because I don't think we need to close off our empathic abilities. This is a really valuable tool and a wonderful gift. And if we can learn to utilize it and take it as information and then release it, then that's the best case scenario. Erica says, I feel I was born empathic. Christy says, I think I was born empathic and also trauma. Noah says, hello, fellow classmates. Hi, Noah. Hi, Timothy. Barbara says, I was born that way. I had to push it away to be able to function, ignoring so much. Now I am still unable to embrace this entirely. Yeah. Michelle says, not true, because I turned off some of my abilities on purpose, and I had to practice to make sure I turned it off at about 6. Yeah, that's another thing that happens, is whether it's empathic abilities or other psychic abilities, some people, for whatever reason, will shut off their abilities in order to protect themselves. So this is why it's so great that we're on a Facebook Live, because we end up bringing up things that are super important that maybe I wouldn't have brought up. So that is very common for people to shut things down. Zahira says, I inherited being empathic and being psychic and also had childhood trauma. Noah says, the tools you have given us, that has helped so much. I can now put up energy walls to not let the negative to consume me. I truly appreciate you very much. Well, I appreciate you too, Noah. We actually have several people here live who are in the Spiritual Empowerment Academy. So hi to all of you guys. Yay. And Joe says, completely not in my own body, completely shut off all psychic intuitive abilities. Yep. Also, all trauma, don't think I was born empathic. Angela says, I feel I was born this way and also had a lot of trauma. I tried to shut things down for years. Christy says, I shut down the sight, which is clairvoyance, and excuse me, and it amplified the physical. Yes, that happens a lot. When we shut off one of our psychic abilities, another one comes through even stronger. Okay, so we're going to finish up with some announcements and our free gift. Okay, so what is to come each day? So today was our longest class. This was covering all of our foundations. This is very similar to when I teach my monthly Facebook Live in this Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. Every month we have a class that's between 60 to 90 minutes long, typically, and I go in depth into a topic. So I was going to do just this class, but instead I turned it into a 5-day event. So now we're going to go into we're going to branch out and cover some different things on the other days, and I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. So today was covering all the foundations, so you understand a bit more about what being an empath is all about. On day 2, tomorrow, we're going to cover discernment, how to understand what's yours and what's not yours and what to do about it. Day 3, we're going to dive into Boundaries 101, both personal boundaries and energetic boundaries, because empaths typically have trouble with both of those categories. On day 4, we're going to cover some new content, really new content, where I'm going to go into details with several different, I'm going to call them trip-ups, issues that empaths have that we need to be more aware of so we can work on it and be able to fully utilize our empathic abilities as gifts. So day 4 is all about the empath trip-ups. And on day 5, our final day, we're going to do a guided meditation. I'm going to take you through a journey, and you'll be able to access that journey again and again. You can listen to it every day or just once, however many times you want to listen to it, to help you with managing your energy and managing your empathic abilities. So during that meditation, I'll help you to ground and set up energetic boundaries and clear out anything that's not yours, etc. Okay? So now our free gifts. I'm going to pull an oracle card for somebody who's here live. So if you would like to be chosen for a free oracle reading right now, live, I want you to type me, exclamation mark, me, type me, if you want to be chosen. Okay? And I'm going to just pick intuitively. So I don't know who it's going to be, but you do have to comment so I know that you are here. Okay? I see some comments coming through. So while I'm waiting for those to come through, yay, I love it. I'm going to make a couple more announcements. Okay, so just a reminder that during this week of this Facebook challenge, any new people who apply for Spiritual Empowerment Academy, anybody who applies and is approved, so you can't just like fill out a fake application and like get the free thing. You have to apply and be approved for Spiritual Empowerment Academy and sign up. Then you will get a free 15-minute laser coaching session with me. This is only available to the first 5 people who apply and are approved and join. And to get more information about that, you will go to my website, www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And then under the events tab, you'll see Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And I will also post a link to it in our Facebook group. So if you didn't follow all of that, I'll also post it in the replay if you're watching this like later tonight on my YouTube channel. I will post it in the description. So I'll make it real easy. If you're watching this replay like 2 years down the road, sorry, the window's closed. I'm only offering this during the week of the live event. And those of you who are already in my program, you know that that the 15-minute laser coaching sessions are usually only available to the people who are paying like the really high premium price, right? Unless you were grandfathered in. But it's usually only available to the people paying the really high tier price. But you can join at even the lowest tier, the cheapest price, and still get the 15-minute Zoom session with me. And we cover a lot in that 15 minutes. So don't miss out on that. And what else? Make sure you participate in today's homework. There's already a post in the Facebook group where you'll take the free quiz to find out if you're an empath and follow the instructions in the post. And then I will pick winners and you will get the free gift. It's all listed there. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to pick who our winner is for the Oracle card. I'm using my pendulum right now. That's telling me who the winner is. It's Barbara. Barbara Head. Yay! Oh, my camera just got really blurry. It couldn't handle me swinging my arms around. Okay, Barbara. So I'm going to set the intention, Barbara, that I'm going to bring in a message I'm going to pull an Oracle card, and I'm going to bring in a message that's going to give you a simple tip for managing your empathic gifts. Okay, so this is a real quickie reading. It's not in depth. And normally, you guys, if we do like a laser coaching session, I like for you to ask me very focused questions, and then I will give you a very focused answer. For something like this is going to be kind of general, but we'll see what comes through for Barbara. And also know that it's possible that something that I share with Barbara might also apply to you. Okay, Barbara, the card that I pulled for you is Heartache and Loss. And as an empath, one of your major challenges is like your heart center is so sensitive. It's beautiful. Like you feel so much in your heart. And you feel other people's pain and their sadness. And all of us here live, we all have different kinds of emotional empathy, and we feel it in our own different ways. For you, you really feel it in your heart. And I want you to recognize that you are so much more of a heart-centered empath than most. And so I want you to take steps to take better care of your heart. And I mean emotionally, vibrationally, spiritually, and physically. So on every level, because as an empath, it hits you, like this is where it hits you. For some of us, we'll feel it more like all over. We'll feel the emotions like flowing through us. For you, it all hits you. Like 90% of the empathic emotions that you get from others, when you feel their heartache and their loss, it comes straight to your heart chakra. So your heart chakra is a bit stressed because it's overworked, it's overtaxed. So you're going to want to do anything and anything and everything that you can to give your heart chakra extra love. Remember, I said physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, etc. So this could be laying crystals on your heart that are good for the heart chakra, like all of the crystals and gemstones that are green are wonderful for the heart chakra. Rose quartz is wonderful for the heart chakra. And I think we should all do some sharing, because I see Stephanie in here. Stephanie, if you want to chime in, and anybody else, anything that's good for the heart chakra. So like essential oils, rose essential oil, or anything that resonates with you to rub or spray onto your heart chakra. So that's helping spiritually and also emotionally, but also on a physical level, being aware of your breathing, like really breathing into your chest, noticing what you're eating, what's affecting your heart organ and your lungs. And so every single level that you could give extra care to with your heart area, I want you to focus on that. That's the area that needs the most TLC. Okay? Well, that reading went way different than I thought. I've never talked about that before. So I'm glad we could dive into that for you. And it sounds like Stephanie is relating as well to that really heart-centered empath. Yeah. And Barbara says, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, you deeply feel like, so now as an empath, I'm feeling how you feel as an empath, which is why my eyes are turning red. Like, I can feel how much you feel other people's stuff in your heart. So that's wonderful, a wonderful gift. But you guys, it can be taxing on the system. And I wouldn't want anything to show up in your physical health because of that spiritual depletion. So give yourself lots of TLC. Okay, other wonderful suggestions. Oh, Zahira's relating too. Yeah. Stephanie says rose quartz. And Stephanie is really a go-to person for essential oils and crystals. Stephanie says rose quartz, green aventurine, pink tourmaline. Oh, yeah. Our great heart stones. Music. Oh, thank you. That's great. Thank you, Christy. You guys, at the beginning I said I turned my air conditioner on because my phone overheated. But I run cold, so I'm freezing right now, which is why I'm starting to cough. Erica says, bless you, Barbara. I feel you should walk. Long walks are good for the soul. Yeah. Angela, yes, you are talking to me as well. Noah says, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie Hart. Yeah, so that's perfect. Our intention was that whatever message came through for Barbara would also be important for others in the group as well. So thank you, Barbara, for volunteering to help bring that message through for you and for others in the group. As I cough. Okay, you guys, we went for an hour and a half. That was perfect. Remember that tomorrow we're going to get into discernment and learning an exercise for determining what is yours and what's not yours and what to do about that. We have a really juicy week ahead, so I hope you will be able to participate with us. There truly are going to be different gifts each day, and so make sure that you participate in the homework and watch the daily classes. I know that life happens, you have other things going on, so I'll make sure to have all of the replays posted. You'll be able to watch everything if you get behind. And also that's why the homework, the homework free gift, I'm not even choosing the winner for that until tomorrow afternoon. So today is Sunday. I'll choose the homework freebie person tomorrow afternoon. So I'll give you all 24 hours. Those of you who end up not seeing this right away, you're watching the replay, you'll get a chance to get a free gift as long as you respond to the homework by tomorrow. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the hearts. Zahira says, thank you, Maya. I always learn so much in your classes. Michelle says, thank you, Maya. Stephanie says, thank you, Maya, Zahira. Yeah. All right. So my plan is that the future classes will be between 30 minutes to an hour. And we have some really good, juicy stuff that we're covering. And last reminder, go to psychicprotectionsanctuary.com and under the events tab, click on Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And if you feel aligned with going deeper, then I encourage you to fill out the application. And if it isn't aligned with you, then that is okay too. I hope that you enjoy this week of amazing gathering together and learning together. And I think I missed some comments. Stephanie says, thank you, Maya. Zahira, Angela, thank you, Maya. Lourdes, you're welcome. And Joe says, thank you. Erica, bye everyone. Have a good night. Maria, it's been very inspiring. Thank you. Noah says, thank you, Maya Zahira. You make teaching. Your teaching is just what the soul needed. Yay. Thanks for the love. And you're welcome, Joe. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Go do your homework right now so you can get the gift. And those of you who are already in Spiritual Empowerment Academy, some of these free gifts you already have. And so later on, I'm going to post some kind of freebie for you guys too. So you won't be left out. Stephanie says, Spiritual Empowerment Academy is the best thing I ever did for learning about my empath gifts. Yay! Thank you, Stephanie. Maria, Tulsi is an amazing ally herb for the heart chakra. Oh, thank you for pointing that out. And Barbara, I don't know if you ever drank this when you came over to my house, but when I lived in Kansas, but I used to make rose tea, rose Tulsi tea. Oh my God, that opens and soothes the heart. Yay. Okay, you guys, it's like, can you tell I don't want to go? I'm having so much fun with you guys. I will see you tomorrow, and I will see you in the Facebook group, sending you lots of love. Until tomorrow, blessings.